Good afternoon. How is everybody doing in here today? Nothing. It's amazing how a camera comes on, nobody wants to talk anymore. 5 minutes ago, I couldn't have paid y'all to be quiet, but now that I'm talking and asking and got somebody recording me here, nobody wants to talk to me. That's fine, it's understandable. Let me take a minute or two to introduce myself and tell you why I'm here today, and maybe that'll help you understand more of what I want to talk to you about. Now, my name is Jeremy Pittman. I go by Blake. I answer to both. You can call me either one. And I am a 37-year-old father of 3 who also works 2 jobs and goes to school full time. You might be saying, why are you waiting now till you're 37 to go back to school? Because I didn't listen when I was younger. I didn't listen to my parents or my friends or everybody else telling me that you need to go ahead and finish school before you become a father and a husband. And guess who didn't listen? Yep, this guy. So I am currently enrolled at Georgia Military College over in Valdosta, Georgia, and I'm taking a public speaking class as part of my education degree, and that's why I'm here today. I have to give you a speech about something that I'm passionate about and try to help convince you of what I believe in. So I'm going to talk to you today about something that's very important, and when I tell you, you're probably going to wrinkle your nose up at it because you probably already listen to it and do a lot of stuff with it every day. Now, we know that there are a bunch of different cultures around the world. There's different races, there's people of different ethnic backgrounds, and there's a lot of different languages throughout the world. I'm going to ask a question and see if anybody can give me the right answer. Odds are nobody will even answer. So, out of all the languages in the world, what is the one thing that every language can relate to and understand? Anybody? Surprise, surprise. I'm talking about music. Even if they don't understand the words, music is kind of like a comprehensive language that everybody kind of understands the music aspect of it. I want to talk to you today about music, and not just about music is what we listen to, but music as it is important to our children in their education, and as it is important to health, our overall health as well. I can tell by the looks I'm getting right now that, yeah, so I'm going to have my work cut out for me today. Let me give you a couple of statistics. What I did is I did some studies over some journals that have studied music and music as an art form and music for its healing and therapeutic purposes. And instead of trying to quote directly from memory today, I don't have a projector to put slides up to cue myself with, so I actually have the journals printed out here. I'm going to give you some quotes and some statistics from these journals. First of all, a study done from the Children's Music Workshop said that currently, this study is a couple years old, so the number's probably more now, at least 1.3 million elementary age students in the country do not have access to a musical program as a form of education in their school. Now, in a school system that relies more heavily on things such as math, science, and social studies, and I'm not saying that those aren't important, and also in a system where budget cuts are a constant source of pain for our administration and our educators, music programs may not seem that important because they're always the first one to get cut. A lot of your schools will oftentimes choose an art program over a music program, even in my mind, they go half and half. Now you may be sitting there asking yourself, Blake, why is music so important to you and why are you harping to us so much about music today? Well, let me tell you, since I was 13 years old, I have been a musician. When I was 13, I started learning how to play guitar. Since then, I've expanded to several different forms of guitar. I can play drums, I can play piano. I play a couple of different things, and music is very important to me, whether it be playing leisurely or playing for business. So I do both, and it is a very important part of my life. But first of all, I want to share some things with you to kind of tell you why music is important to me and why I think it should be important to you, and especially important to the education of our children. The first study that I want to read to you comes from the American Psychological Association, the APA, and it's a study on music as a medicine. Now, what they did here, they did this study predominantly on infants. Researchers at Beth Israel Medical Center's Louis Armstrong Center for Music and Medicine, to be exact, they conducted a study on 272 premature babies that had at least reached the 32-week mark before they were born. Now, what they did to these babies is they subjected them to 2 different environments. The first environment was a normal hospital environment in the NICU, the NICU unit, and the things that they would experience on a daily basis there, from carts being wheeled up and down the hallway, nurses in and out of the room, doctors talking, wait staff talking inside and outside of the room, visitors talking, monitors going off and on, oxygen being pumped in through those little tubes that they put in their nose, the whole 9 yards, incubators running, you name it. And then they took those same 272 babies and they put them in a controlled environment with ones of 3 different types of music. Number 1 was a lullaby, pre-recorded by somebody from their immediate family, their mother or their father. Number 2 was what they're calling an ocean disc, which is like a round disc that played softer music and like nature sounds, really soothing stuff. Number 3 was classical music. Now, guess what the study found out? In all these infants that they studied, the heart rate of the infants when they were exposed to the softer, more relaxing music than the normal sounds of the NICU unit was considerably lower. Considerably. Now, infants, especially preemies, have a very high heart rate, or higher so than, say, mine or yours would be. Now, why is this important? Because we know that our heart is a centralized organ in our body, and it controls the blood flow and the oxygen flow to the rest of our body, and without it, we pretty well die. So the easier it has to work, the more efficiently our bodies run. And they found that in these infants, that once their heart rate slowed down, their bodies started developing more efficiently and faster, and they were able to go home to their parents quicker. So basically, the music alleviated the stress of the carry-on of the daily hospital world and allowed their bodies time to heal without also processing the stress. Now, however many of you have ever dealt with stress before? However many of you know that when your body is stressed out, everything else slows down and everything else is harder to deal with, and we get sick and we get headaches and we have all this other stuff going on in our lives? I mean, I do personally, just being a father. That's enough stress for anybody to deal with. The next study that I want to bring up is from the British Journal of Psychiatry. It's from the Cambridge Corps. Cambridge University actually did this study. And what they did was they studied the effects of music therapy on patients with schizophrenia. Wow, that's a scary one. However many of you know anybody that's schizophrenic? I don't think anybody's going to raise their hand on that one. I personally don't either, but I've studied the condition. Schizophrenia comes with hallucinations, people just acting crazy, for lack of a better word. I hate to use that word, but I mean, we get what I'm saying too. So basically what Cambridge University did was they compiled a 12-week individual music therapy course for people with schizophrenia. Guess what they found out? The people with schizophrenia who attended at least 4 sessions a week, where they sat through the therapy sessions with calm music playing in the background, they performed better. When I say perform better, what do I mean? That means that their symptoms went down. They weren't as wild and vivid with their reactions. The voices in their head wasn't as loud, and they were able to function more as a normal human being. The health benefits is a positive note. There's also a cost feasibility thing that's positive when looking at the effects of music therapy. Now, why do you say that, Blake? Because how much cheaper is it to buy a CD or a digital album with soft music playing on it as compared to medicines and therapies and all this and all that? It's a cheaper way to go. The third study that I want to bring up to you, excuse me, is about music therapy being an effective intervention for people with dementia. This has come from academic.oup.com. So basically what they did was the same thing that they did in the schizophrenia subject. This is another Cambridge study. And they took people with dementia, and what they did when it came to musical therapy is they played songs that might have been popular during the time period when these people were younger, when they didn't have the dementia causing them to lose their memories and whatnot. And guess what they found out? Anybody want to take a chance here? Nobody's going to help me out today. Great. So what they found out was that when exposed to these different calm songs and instrumental music from the time period when they had a good mind, they were able to remember more. They were able to recognize more of their family. They were able to remember more of who they were and things that they had done in their past. Now, how many of y'all have certain memories and emotions that are tied to certain songs that you may hear? I know I do. There's certain songs that make me think of my grandfather who passed away 6 years ago. There's certain songs that make me think about tough times in my life. There's certain songs that make me think about happy times in my life. And that's what this study did. This study took those different types of songs and played it for people with dementia and Alzheimer's that don't really remember a lot of things from their life and that forget a lot of things, and they played it for them, and it made them remember. So you're probably asking yourself right now, Blake, why are you mentioning all this to us to try to convince us that music is an important part of education for our children? It's pretty simple. Think of it as a preventative measure. If we can get musical appreciation as an art form ingrained in our children these days, how much easier will their life ahead of them be? What are they going to learn from? They're going to learn coping mechanism, number one. In a world where our children are constantly exposed to noise and negativity from video games to YouTube to TV to movies, whatever they watch. Now hold on just a second. You know, we're supposed to be good parents and we're supposed to monitor everything that they do. How many of you are perfect parents? If you are, raise your hand. I'm going to put mine down because I'm not a perfect parent. And it doesn't matter how much I try to monitor what my kids do, stuff still slips through the crack because there's still times when I can't be around them. So let's try, my theory is if music is a part of an educational system, as a part of their daily learning at school or their weekly learning at school, it will help weed out some of this negative influence that they have, and it will teach them how to deal with things. I'm going to go back to that first study I read, the Children's Musical Workshop. They listed a couple benefits of having a music program. And when I talk about music program, I mean an appreciation for music, I mean a history of music, and I mean possibly learning how to play a musical instrument from an early age on up. Some private and public benefits. It enriches the quality of their lives. It promotes cultural awareness around them. It creates social bonds with them and other kids when they're learning this stuff together. It makes schools a better place to learn because, as the studies have already shown, it makes people more peaceful than they are without it. It promotes a pride of accomplishment and responsibility. It also develops self-discipline. And you might be saying, how does music give responsibility and self-discipline? I'm going to ask you a question in response to that. How many of you have ever tried to learn how to play an instrument? I have, and it does teach you self-discipline because you got to be disciplined to practice every night. It teaches you an accomplishment when you learn different things and how to celebrate that accomplishment because you're proud of yourself. It develops a greater tolerance to be able to deal with stuff, and it provides constructive entertainment. As you can see, music has been a very important part of my life from an early age on up, and it's still a daily part of my life now. I want to encourage you today to maybe go do, not just take my word for what I've said, not just take my word for my opinion or whatever, but I want to encourage you and challenge you to go out and do your own research, do your own studying, compile your own information, and then in turn be like me and be that vocal parent. If you think that this is something that may be important to you for the future of your children and your children's children, be the parent like me that's active in the school system, at the Board of Education meetings, or whatever you need to be active of to speak up and speak your mind and say, hey, we really want a musical art program to be a part of our children's education as well as this other stuff. I hope that something I've said today stuck with you. If you have any questions, I'd love to talk to you about it after the fact. And I just encourage you to go do your own research. Thank you, and y'all have a good day.